Okay, hello everyone. We need to do a one-on-one chat because the computer camera is not going to look good and you're not going to get the best quality video you're going to get on here. So, we're going to talk about the transportation nightmare that we have to endeavor in New York City right now. It's really gotten so bad, guys. I'm going to really go into, I would say, three agencies that really need to be addressed. And that would be New York City Transit, the Long Island Railroad, and New Jersey Transit. Okay, so first things first, we're going to talk about New Jersey Transit. I think that needs to be priority number one right now. Because since May, it's really gotten to be a problem where New Jersey Transit's equipment has been acting up. The diesel trains are basically in very bad shape right now. The Comet liners keep breaking down. It's just been a nightmare. And back on Thursday, it was so bad on the Pascack Valley line in Rockland County, they only had single track through Spring Valley up there. That's how bad things have gotten. You've had Maine, Bergen, Port Jervis line trains. They can't even complete their journeys up to Port Jervis, New York, because these old trains keep having issues. They can't complete their trips. And Andrew Tiger Lee has had to deal with it now for the past couple of months. It's really gotten to be a problem over in New Jersey right now. And all the other train lines that have these trains that, of course, are constantly having mechanical issues. It's spewed on over to the Northeast Corridor, where trains are going to Trenton. It's spewing over to the North Jersey coastline, where you've had trains going to Bayhead constantly have issues. And same with the Maine Morris Essex. Some trains can't even complete their trips out to Dover. It's really gotten at an alarming point. And what was really disgusting back in June, how could the rail union not get a paid holiday with the federal Juneteenth? I don't understand that. So, New Jersey Transit's been dealing with a lot of mechanical problems. And one last point I will make. You all remember how they were having staffing issues even before the pandemic? Yeah, the pandemic basically made it 10 times worse. So some trains can't even run because you have conductors and engineers that are not even available to fill the trains into and out of New Jersey on some days. And there have been some days recently where a couple of weeks ago, the Portal Drawbridge was stuck. And my cousin Jay was literally stuck in Midtown. He couldn't get over to Secaucus to change over to the Pascack Valley line. I had to help my cousin get over to the PATH train so that way he can get over to Hoboken and help him out. This was a couple weeks ago in August. So the media in New Jersey, News 12 New Jersey, is not talking about it, I feel. Our only source for reliable information when it's come to this New Jersey Transit problem is Andrew Tiger Lee. So, subscribe to his channel. I'm going to card it right now because you all need to see how bad New Jersey Transit has been. It's been a mess since that awful, awful day right before Memorial Day in May, where the trains were, especially on the North Jersey coastline, mechanical issues from that day forward have spread to other lines on New Jersey Transit. And I encourage anybody in New Jersey, this upcoming Wednesday, the 21st, I would highly recommend that you tell Kevin Corbett how you've been affected by this, because Andrew's planning on hopefully speaking, and I hope regular riders of New Jersey Transit are going to speak out about these mechanical issues, because we need more people to advocate and beg Kevin Corbett and beg Diane Gutierrez-Scacchetti to order more train equipment. Because the longer this goes on, and especially because we're anticipating a lot more travelers as we go into the holiday season, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get 10 times worse. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Long Island Railroad. Now, thank you very much for all the support on the Valley Stream video. Obviously, again, I'm still upset with Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman for fabricating lies about Valley Stream. It's, disgusting to think that he thinks that, we need to have another revamp project like Limbrook. No, you don't. It's perfectly fine. Alright, again, they just need to do a little cleanup when it comes to the underneath where the cars are parked. That's it. Clean up the rust on the pillars. That's all. Doesn't take that long to fix. You could shut down service at Valley Stream for a few weekends if you have to do that, but not revamp the whole station. That's asking for too much. Because the congestion pricing plan is going to encourage more people to take the Long Island Railroad. What makes things a lot worse is, again, Lowell Park. The fact that, again, a child could fall over the fence. The platforms really need to be redone. I've been saying it now for the past 4 years, since 2018. I've had Pine Power LI even vouch for me on that. It's just really gotten disgusting that we constantly have told Laura Curran and Bruce Blakeman, you need to do something about the Lowell Park situation. No, they refused to do anything about it. We tried telling Phil Eng before he left how bad it was. So, again, we're ignored, as usual. People in New Jersey are getting ignored, and the same can be said in Long Island. It's ridiculous. And then, with the main line being shut down, that's why, again, a lot of the businesses in Mineola and Hicksville don't do well on the weekends. Only on the weekends. Weekdays, maybe at night, that's a whole different story. Maybe people want to stay at home, But you gotta understand, most of those businesses closing have a lot to do with why they closed down in the first place and left Mineola and Hicksville for good. Because think about it. If you have no train service on the weekends, how do you think you're going to get customers from the city? You're not. They're not going to want to deal with a bad bus system, known as NICE, that constantly breaks down. Drivers are always running late. And, half the time they don't even make efforts to get past the red light. And you know why they're not going past the red lights anymore like the Long Island bus drivers used to when MTA was still running it? I secretly found out that Transdev is warning all their drivers not to go through red lights anymore. They're warning them, if you do that, you're going to give us a ticket. And we're going to have to pay red light cameras. Because when Laura Curran was county executive, she was starting to put them up. And I don't know why Bruce Blakeman can't override what Laura Curran did to take down these cameras. That's why your buses are going to run late. But that gets me off my point with the railroad. All this month, they keep saying we want to rush the Grand Central project. I'm telling you guys, and I know I hate to be political, but if Kathy Hochul wins in November, there's going to be a lot of people who leave New York. Don't come crying to me when, we lost another seat in Congress because so many people left New York. Yeah, well, the same thing happened in 2020. All right, there were two factors into it. We lost people because of the virus, and then people were leaving. And then add on the fact that, again, if you're dealing with a bad transportation network, okay, the crime can be one thing. Assaults, stabbing, shootings, whatever. Robberies, whatever at this point. But what's going to add to this equation is a bad infrastructure. Delaware is actually improving their infrastructure. The roads are always improving from DelDOT. I'm glad John Carney was, Delaware, believe it or not, out of all 50 states, they have the most money left over, believe it or not, from the first stimulus package that President Trump passed in 2020. That's how crazy I'm sounding right now. But New York is so irresponsible with its money. Overall. Mineola got the cheap switches. Same with Hicksville. Especially for this third track project. I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong. It looks interesting, but I agree with Pine Power. We should have told Philip Bank to install an island platform. What were we thinking? And the fact that, again, you got at least 2 more shutdowns coming up next month. You got the first weekend in October, and then the last weekend in October, and then there's word going around that the main line may be shut down again. And then it causes traffic on the highways. These mainline shutdowns have made it really hard for me to get into Long Island. My trips take longer than usual when the main line's not running. Because people are going into their cars and they're just giving up. They don't want to deal with it anymore. Oh, we're not going to the South Shore to get back to the Mid-Island region. Exactly. People are going to take their cars. So, you got the Grand Central project. The schedules are still a mess, and I still have to go over them in the future video. I'm not going to do it this week, but probably before the end of the month, I'm going to have to talk about the new Grand Central schedules. So, before I get to my New York City transit point, I want you to watch Pine Power LI's last video for Mineola, because I'm telling you, with no island platform at Mineola, it's only going to make it a lot harder for people commuting. And Pine Power is just assuming, people are going to move to the South Shore. No, they're going to leave New York State. It doesn't have to be New Jersey or Delaware or Florida, or it could be anywhere else in this country that at least cares about its infrastructure. Even Texas has a better infrastructure than we do. And that's saying a lot. Delaware does too. They care about their roads. They care about keeping traffic moving. And that's where it gets to my point about New York City Transit. So, I want to talk about what I had to go through this past Wednesday on the 14th. So, I couldn't pay to get on the buses. Both the Q76 and the Q31. I had to board in the rear door because, the driver had to keep the bus moving. That's how bad it was. And what's really making matters 10 times worse here in Northeast Queens is that Long Island Expressway project where supposedly they're adding another lane. I don't know what's going on over there between the Clearview Expressway and Springfield Boulevard, but that's what I've been hearing. And it's making things a lot worse where you can't even cross the solid line. Okay? Who at the NYSDOT, this is not a city project. I found this out. This is a state project. Why would they ever put a solid white line? I've heard that people have been getting into accidents over there, specifically eastbound on the LIE. And it's gotten a lot worse since Queensboro opened. A lot of college kids, I've been hearing, they've been getting into accidents because it's so confusing to try to get into the lanes. So you know what's going on? The kids are leaving the cars at home. They're leaving the cars at home and they're overcrowding the buses. They've given up on this LIE nonsense. And then add the fact that there's not enough school buses going around right now. These kids, these elementary, middle school kids, they're now stuck taking New York City Transit because we still have a nationwide school bus driver shortage. So, this LIE project has caused a major chain reaction where the Clearview Expressway between exit 5 and exit 4 southbound from Northern Boulevard to the LIE exit, the on-ramp over there has become basically a congestion zone. You can't even merge onto the highway during rush hour. And you should have seen how bad it was on Wednesday the 14th. I swear to you, everyone, I felt like I was in Manhattan. That's how bad it was. So add on the fact that you have a lot of out-of-sync traffic lights because they were never built to handle this amount of traffic. They were programmed before COVID. It was starting to get a little bit bad in February, March 2020 before we shut down. But here we are, almost 3 years into this pandemic. They're claiming, it's almost the end. It's almost the end of the nightmare we've been dealing with now for the past 2 years. Yeah, well, did anybody ever thought what would happen if the world was back to the way it was before March 11th of 2020? Anybody ever think that? I was. Because we were stuck in lockdown for a long time. My goodness, our planning skills have really collapsed. Nobody ever thought ahead? I think since July this project's been going on in the LIE. And then yesterday, it got so worse. When I was coming home from Long Island, I had to do a couple things in Long Island yesterday. When I was on the Grand Central heading home with my parents, right by the Springfield Boulevard underpass, you should have seen how bad Union Turnpike was eastbound. It was a nightmare for anybody trying to get into Glen Oaks yesterday afternoon. So, The DOT, the state DOT really needs to get a mouthful from the people of this borough. It's really caused a traffic disaster. Because of that, the buses get bunched. The buses are too close to one another because they have to run frequent during school days. So with the amount of traffic that you get, it causes problems. And it even got so bad where I did see, again, I waited for the next bus because the driver on the Ryan 7 Next Gen, he had to put the sign up, right? There's this kid tapping on the window. This was right before 3 o'clock on Wednesday. And I literally almost heard the bus break down. I have a recording of it, but I don't want to play it on here because, the driver was able to get the bus back down to 45th Avenue, but the buses are still not being maintained. Sometimes you'll have a driver who doesn't fill a run. The Q88 back on Tuesday, I was so upset that one run didn't get filled, and it caused the bus to Elmhurst to get completely crowded for no apparent reason. Because if that bus got filled when it was supposed to, I would have been like, okay, I'll wait for the next one because then I know it won't get crowded. No, that didn't happen on Tuesday. So, I'll mention randomly that I had to sit in the back on the Q88 back on Tuesday because the air conditioner was working stronger back there. It was very hot on Tuesday. It was humid. So, the female driver on the Q76 was nice enough to let me get a free ride because, again, she had to keep the bus moving. So, I was only going down to Rocky Hill Road to get the 31. And thankfully, I was on the tracker, and at least there were 2 westbound buses coming. So if I missed one bus, the other bus would have picked me up. And same with the other male driver on the Q31. And, the future generation, I feel, is not getting educated on our infrastructure. I say it to everybody. They want to charge you $23 just to go into Manhattan to drive in. But then what's going to happen to the other roads, like the Cross Ponds Expressway? They're going to constantly overcrowd the road. The Cross Ponds Expressway wasn't built for that. It never was. My father even knows that. He's from the Bronx. So, right now, New York City, I'll say. I'll just assume New York City. Because I don't want to offend people in Long Island. I don't want to offend people in the Hudson Valley. But New York City specifically. Our road infrastructure is like a third world country. That's how bad it is here. We are so behind London and Toronto and Tokyo, for an example, and even Seoul in South Korea. We are we're supposed to be the economic engine of the United States. Supposedly the richest city in the whole United States. And yet our transportation system it used to be so good a long time ago, has now shuttered into the ground by reckless politicians who have let us down over the years. We're still in this very, very bad cycle in New York. it's not going to improve anytime soon. Even if Lee Zeldin gets in, you know how long this mess is going to have to be cleaned up? It's not going to immediately happen in January. It won't. The politicians in the state are so focused on the wrong things. It's why I'm so tempted to move to Delaware. It's like, that's where I belong at this point. They're telling me to go shut up, take a bus to Wilmington, get on Megabus. We'll take you right to the Joe Biden train station. I'm pretty sure Megabus does take you to Wilmington. At least Greyhound does. But still. She's telling me to get on a bus and move to Wilmington. Move along Route 202 like you said you would. So, all I'm saying is people have got to start waking up. Alright? Because, everybody can flaunt around their Uber and Lyft money for as much as they can. And these people who watch my channel, they know who they are. They know who they are. Alright? You don't know what we have to deal with in the city right now. It shouldn't be hard for these school kids to call 311 and complain about the out-of-sync traffic lights. I've done it numerous times since last year, and I'm getting sick and tired of calling 311 to complain about them. So we need more people overall to say to 311, we have to tell our leaders in the city council, tell Eric Adams, fix the out-of-sync traffic lights in the outer boroughs. It shouldn't be that hard to convince the mayor to do that right now. And then the fact that 64th Avenue over there, that oval, man, I'm telling you, I mean, that's another reason why your bus gets delayed if you're waiting for the 17 or the 88 over there. It's a disaster. So I'm praying that this LIE project is done soon, because I don't know what it's about. I don't know what the DOT's doing between the Clearview and Springfield, but this has to get fixed sooner rather than later. Because once you have one road down, you're going to have people taking the other roads. So it's time to fix this hell that we've been dealing with in the city. And I'll mention that when I was on Old Country Road in Mineola the other day, I didn't have to wait that long for the light to change green. Maybe it was like 30 seconds. The most I had to wait. So even Long Island has a better system when it comes to its traffic lights. Is it possible we could keep our traffic lights green for 2 minutes? Shouldn't be that hard to do, especially during rush hour. Seriously, I want to know who in the DOT is monitoring traffic. There has to be a guy drinking coffee and eating a donut and, nope, not looking at the, I'm supposed to be looking at the cameras. Seeing how bad the traffic is. Can I make this light green? Can I keep that street moving? We have to hope that, again, more people speak up in the city. I'm only calling out people in the city. But again, you Uber and Lyft people in the city, yes, I'm calling out you. Long Island, you're fine. You're not impacted by the traffic light nightmare that we have to deal with. But here in the city, especially in Queens, I'm talking to you Uber and Lyft people. It's affecting you too. So, that's it. And, you know, we have to get through this together. We're in a very bad pickle right now. We all have to unite and try to find ways to solve these problems. Stop being ignorant. Stop being closed-minded and start realizing that you're going to be affecting mental health right now if you don't fix these traffic lights. I don't know how people put up with it. You know, I really don't. So that's it. Just again, you know what you have to do in New Jersey. Speak to Kevin Corbett. If you're dealing with Long Island right now, speak to Catherine Rinaldi. And if you're in New York City and you're dealing with that, and another thing I will mention, one more point. On Monday, I will be telling Richard Davey about what I had to go through. And I will be telling Richard Davey to turn on the rear door Omni readers. Because they have to be turned on as soon as possible. And Richard Carranza, I'm calling you out, the school's chancellor. You got to speak to the MTA and figure out how you're going to get these kids their school Omni cards. Because trust me, if I had a reduced fare Omni, I would have paid. So, there's no excuse for this. We need rear door boarding. It has to happen now. So, that's it.